and that's on page 20. Coronation anniversary. That I am king doesn't mean everything I was before I was crowned is thrown away, and that's on page 14. Alleged terrorism financing. What NLC president told police. That's according to sources, and you can find it on page 8. Federal government will liaise with EU to take action against Simon Ekpa, DHQ, and that's on page 13. Exploit farmers, and that's on page 15. Into the world of sports, we have Osimhen Chelsea transfer deal nearing conclusion, and that's on page 30. Tension in KB as military personnel shoot DPO dead, and that's on page 6. Insecurity, 55,910 dead, 21,000 adopted in 4 years, and that's according to report, and you can find it on page 8, and that's it for the Vanguard newspaper.
Nigerian Tribune. Babalola faults federal government stance on 18-year limit for varsity admission, says policy against university autonomy, on page 3. Federal government approves 50% electricity subsidy for public hospitals, on page 12. Federal government gives traders 1 month to crash prices. SCCPC meets stakeholders, explains why 30 days moratorium was given, cites law empowering it to act. Decries prohibitive prices of goods in supermarkets. Stakeholders blame insecurity, multiple taxation, high cost of transportation for high prices. 13 statement, on page 12. Court strikes out suit against end bad governance protesters, on page 24. Aviation Minister signs MOU with Boeing to boost sector, on page 4. Local government autonomy. NBA names committee to monitor 774 councils to ensure implementation of Supreme Court judgment, on page 2. And now to the final story. Hedo. Political parties, candidates to sign peace accord September 12. APC, PDP in war of words over plot to rig election, and that story is on page 4, and that's it for the Nigerian Tribune newspaper.
And to the Nation newspaper, we have manufacturing gets 74 billion naira to boost production. DBN releases 112 billion naira loans. Sheyi Tinubu launches initiative to visiting visa holders from work permits. That's on page 4. And rule of law must serve all, says NBA president. You can find out page 2. And police squeeze Ajero over NLC terror suspect tenant. Page 2 also. And president off to China. You can find out on page 3. Striking doctors risk losing pay. Federal government threatens to invoke no work no pay rule. In boldly here we have 50% electricity subsidy for varsities, teaching hospitals. President has given approval, says Minister. Consumer Commission moves against arbitrary price. FCCPC CEO Tunji Bello. Why can't researchers develop alternative power sources? Why rely only on discos? Why not use solar, wind, hydro to generate power? What happened to Buhari government's power initiative in universities? And the last line here says $1 million fraud. EFCC now suspected 4-man syndicates impersonating Olukoyede, and that's on page 26, and that's it for the Nation newspaper.
Now moving to the Guardian newspaper. Living in Abuja. The making of a capital city of gross inequality. Rags versus suburb matching grants to 3.5 billion naira, on page 7. After Babalola cautions against 18 years limit for WAEC, NECO, on page 28. EKEDC explains its connection of Unilag after 180 million naira payment, That's on page 7. Foreign inflow down by 57.22% as investors appraise portfolio. You can read that story on the business page 16 of the Guardian newspaper. Over 55,910 civilians killed in Nigeria in 4 years, says report, and that's on page 6. Ajero vows to fight on, says police invitation mere distraction to labor struggles, on page 7.
Federal government's policies strangulating, impoverishing, say Catholic bishops. Demand end to multiple taxation, food insecurity. FCCPC gives traders 1 month to crash prices, and that's on page 25. Electricity tariff. Federal government approves 50% subsidy for public hospitals, and that's on page 27. Governor Mba inaugurates minimum wage implementation committee. Commissions asphalt plant, and that's on page 27. NLC President Ajero quizzed says labor movement worth dying for, and that's on page 6, and boldly written over
Of the restored National Theatre, and that's it for today.
That's an area that we should exploit as new ways to create income and so on. Complementary interests that we have with Nigeria, and it is our responsibility of the two countries to work together to create opportunities for the next generation. Opportunities based into complementarity that will enhance partnership. It says there's time to increase the dimensions of it. It's not suggesting the kind of expectation we have, what can Italy do for Nigeria. It's saying that what we should do is to exploit joint opportunities to create partnerships that will be beneficial, that we should work together towards a common future. Italy wants to be part of that future, and he expects that Nigeria will also be part of it. That, in a nutshell, is what I understand to us. Said to us.
Countries which are visa-free, but in your case you need a visa. So my idea is, of course, for visas we need the requirements for the Schengen rules that impose certain documents to have been presented. By my experience, it was also consul in Lagos, the interaction with the business community by the consuls, the way to interact, as I'm doing now here with you, the Institute of International Affairs, is helping to understand the country and to promote all visas. The consuls or the ambassadors, when they with visas, have to interact to understand the environment, the needs of business people, and then once they do this, then they should also evaluate to give longer visas, because what is the problem, especially they cannot ask any time for one visa when they need to go to a fair, when they need to travel around. Business people are by nature people who move around. So when they are in one country, they have an opportunity in another country, or if they and wait for 3-4 months. It's not helping for those people who have to do business. So in my view, I will also talk to the consul, as you have highlighted this issue, is to make maybe a better understanding of the situation of the business community, and then interact with giving, I will talk longer visas. So once you make the process, you are off for a couple of years. You can move freely around. To do so, you have to be evaluated on your activities. But once you do it, once you have shown that you have this capacity and you have this role of business person, you should not be, let's say, damaged by asking every time a visa. To have a multiple entry visas for long term, I think is the best solution. But thanks for raising this issue. I will talk to the council because it's also very active. It's also very active, and maybe this is a good opportunity. I think that what makes a difference. So I hope I have answered your question and at least interactive with what could be important.
It's on promotion of interest and building of alliances. And you equally stated that interest must be complementary based on win-win situation. However, you've equally stated that our interest must be complementary based on win-win situation. However, you've mentioned here that Nigeria is a producer of raw materials and that your country actually technologically inclined. I want to know whether if you see this situation as a permanent situation whereby Nigeria cannot even transform from the level of raw material production to that of technological advancement. That is one. Then number two, you talk about Nigeria being a potential new way of creating income. The question is income for who? For who? Is it income for Italy or income for Nigeria or income for both countries? Thank you very much.
Because it's not the way to sell only natural resources that can give you sustainability for your society. What is important is to create jobs and to also boost the economy. That's where the complementary comes in. In Italy, our business people, they have issues concerning workforce. They need more, let's say, viable, more laws that allow them to invest in a better way, an easier way. Before we talked about the visas, but also the business people want to be facilitated in investing. So the new trend is not just to buy from you the raw materials or the natural resources and to employ them somewhere else. Is to come to invest in Nigeria, to bring the company from Italy or from any other country, but we talk about Italy, to Nigeria, to have the opportunity to build here a stable investment and to transfer the technology here, because on the spot you have also the natural resources. So you can do the same activity which made Italy rich in the past. You can know how to process things. It needs logistics, it needs investment, it needs an environment that is business friendly, and this is also the discussions we have to do with our Nigerian friends, how to create this environment in which the business people have what they need. So energy, let's say capacity to invest, having protection for the investments, opportunities to train people, schools, and to employ them on the spot, by using on the spot the natural resources. This is a huge challenge. I think the government is doing a lot of initiatives to reach that level. We at diplomats should do the same by training our business persons towards Nigeria. I talked before about soft power. Italy has a soft power because everybody wants to visit Italy. capacity of the spaces, of the huge internal market, but then we have to find how to fine-tune and these common or complementary interests and how to bring them into relation. So there's still a work to do, but the interest is there. So if both sides are interested, the way to reach success is also, I think, a question of compromise, a question of fine-tuning our interests, a question of bilateral relations that should be developed in these directions we have mentioned. I hope I understood your question.
Thank you very much.
Is built on mutual respect and cooperation. I'm also aware that Nigeria and Italy, both at the bilateral and multilateral levels, have always come together to address common challenges such as terrorism, insurgency, and the issue migration and the issue of climate change. So in recent times, trying to comply and understand that relations or the trust within that relations, what does Italy intend to do in strengthening the support in the fight against terrorism? Counterinsurgency efforts, and more importantly, the issue of climate change you mentioned in your presentation, Your Excellency. Thank you. Importantly, the issue of climate change you mentioned in your presentation. How does Italy intend to strengthen the support in these areas so as to ensure what you call cooperation, development, and equal partnership? Thank you.
Especially tackling it's a critical issues like terrorism, trafficking. This made us come together a lot. We learned a lot from each other, and tackling together challenges strengthens relations. So whenever you have friends and you have overcome with your friends the issue of fighting illegal migration was successful or is successful. The issue of fighting terrorism has brought us to a wide understanding that terrorism is not only the problem of one country, but is widespread, can touch regions, can touch the world, because terrorism has its roots, but then spreads out. So coming together, we made a lot of